Hello and welcome to Good Vibes TV. I'm your host, Leslie Klein, and your guide into the world of vibrations. In this program, you will learn ways to raise your vibration so you can thrive. Our show is about energy, frequencies, and vibrations. Basically, the law of attraction. How we vibrate is how we attract like vibrating things, conditions, and even situations. Now, today's guest is my very dear friend, Debbie Lane. She is a founder of Wisdom Hypnosis and an expert in the Tampa Bay, Florida area. She was awarded the International Hypnotist of the Year in 2007 and has experience with high-profile and complex cases, in addition to many other awards that she's won over the years. She's been doing it for 20 years. So welcome, Debbie, to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you for having
me. You've been doing hypnotherapy for 20 years.
Yes.
Let's go back 20 years and find out from you, how did you exactly find out about it? And why has it been so effective for you these last 20 years?
Okay. To go really back in the Wayback Machine, I started out in education. I had students that were straight out of the Juvenile Delinquent Center, and just because of circumstances in their lives, had some real emotional stuff that they were carrying. Fast forward into my career in early childhood, and I began to recognize patterns, interactions, whatnot, that might lead to these same issues later in life. I had the opportunity to take a continuing ed course in hypnosis, and I fell in love at first trance. It's just so amazing what hypnosis can do and the power of our mind. So I've just been in love with it ever since.
How would you describe hypnosis to someone who's just finding out about it for the first time?
Well, first of all, it's safe, it's natural. And although people will tell me they've never been through hypnosis, we've all been through hypnosis unless you've never slept, because it's the hypnotic brain waves that we go through, from the active brain waves of gamma and beta down through alpha, which is like daydreaming, theta, which is a deeper form of hypnosis, and then delta, which is sleep. So we're experiencing it every day. In the conscious mind, that part of us that can scramble an egg and hold a conversation, there's a lot of critical factor. The subconscious mind, it's just that inner wisdom and that knowing. And so it's a sponge that soaks up everything that goes on around us, therefore motivating our behaviors and our beliefs.
So the subconscious mind, that's, it's kind of like the iceberg, isn't it? That our conscious mind is like the tip of the iceberg, but the subconscious mind is like huge underneath the water.
Absolutely. It's all the rest of us. It's both the unconscious, which is your heart beating, your lungs breathing, your organs working. Imagine if you have to spend all day telling all of that to work. You'd never have time for anything else. So It's that, but then it's also all of the feelings and emotions and habits and memories and experiences that we have. And the job of the subconscious mind is to take all of that and help us process in a way that we flourish.
Say someone comes to you for a hypnotherapy session. What could they expect? And what are some reasons that you find people come to you to get hypnotherapy done?
Oh, the list is ongoing because the subconscious mind is so powerful. What they can expect is that I will listen actively to them. I will do my best to hear what it is that they want, that they desire out of life, and then help them along that journey to achieving it. I worked with a famous case of hiccups. They stopped in my office, which then led to a case of belching and eventually flatulence. So I've had burping, chirping in the other end as well. But I've also used it. Currently, I have some clients who are coming out and they want to feel comfortable with that process. And so I'm helping them handle whatever is thrown their way by people who are judgmental. Obviously, every hypnotherapist works on taking care of the body better, because we can't live fully if we're harming our body, not loving our bodies.
Do you have an example of a time where your vibes were low, or that you were in a low vibe situation and that you used hypnotherapy or certain techniques to shift your energy?
Absolutely. About 3 years ago now, on 9/11, my older brother suicided. I had been taking care of both of my parents, who were in skilled nursing care at the time. Both were ill, and he just couldn't do it anymore. So he suicided. 2 days later, my father crossed of natural causes. Meanwhile, mom was still in hospice care. I was truly at the depth. However, I was able to use hypnosis, self-hypnosis, but I also used a process called Havening. And that really, especially in combination with the hypnosis, pulled me out of it and helped me elevate and rise above again.
Wow. Tell us a little bit about the Havening. Is that a hypnotherapy technique, or is it something different?
It is something different, although it can be incorporated with hypnosis quite easily. They're companions all the time. Havening is a psychosensory therapy. It's a process of when done self-applied as opposed to clinician applied. And I prefer my clients learn to do it self, because I'm not always going to be there for them. But it's a self-touch of the face, the arms in a very loving way, and the hands. Or for those who don't want to touch their face, because since the quarantines around the world, people were hesitant at first to touch their face, just a gentle touching of the hands and the arms. The idea is that while you're doing that touch, those touches are anchored in from infancy, because when a baby's handed to its parent, first thing mommy does is rub its little head, check its arm, check its little legs. So they're already associating that touch with something positive. But if you've had some kind of trauma, the landscape back here in the hippocampus is damaged, and it's telling Amy, the amygdala, you got to run, you got to run. Well, by doing this and then distracting the hippocampus, you're able to take the sting, the bite out of whatever that situation is.
Wow. It's a fairly new technique.
Created by two doctors. They're brothers. One is a dentist, the other's a neurologist, Dr. Stephen and James Rudin out of New York.
Wonderful.
Oh, it's amazing.
And of all the cases that you've had, how many sessions of hypnotherapy would you say you've done over the last 20 years?
Daily for 20 years. I'm not a mathematician, but you can get an idea that it has been unbelievable, unbelievable. And since adding the Havening, it's been even more unbelievable. I'm so happy with it.
Do you have a client or a story of a comeback or improvement with hypnosis that stands out over others?
Well, as I started earlier, obviously a famous case of hiccups that made international headlines was quite something. However, I have found that, golly, one particular case, yes, a young man came to me. He was getting ready to go away to college. And from the age of 3 on, he stuttered. Well, through the process, we discovered that when mom had started an in-home daycare, which she did so she could be at home with her little boy, but he saw it as having to share mommy now with all these other children. That's when he began to stutter in order to get her attention. Well, after our session, he stopped stuttering. But what was so touching was I got a phone call. He was on campus, he was in his dorm, and he had to tell me that nobody there knew he stuttered. And he was like, I'm tearing up because he was filled with tears. He was so happy. And what I had to remind him was, nobody knows you stuttered because you don't stutter. Mm-hmm. It was just so beautiful. It really meant a lot.
Wow. So you've really made a big difference in a lot of people's lives over these last 20 years and beyond. But with
I have been so blessed. I have been so lucky. I have I have been able to attract the best clients ever.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to take a short break right now, but when we come back, we're going to have Debbie. I'll have you explain a little bit more about hypnosis, havening, and affirmations after this break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Good Vibes TV. I'm your host, Leslie Klein, and today's guest is Debbie Lane. She is the owner of Wisdom Hypnosis. And let me bring her back. There she is. So, Debbie, you were talking about havening.
Yes.
Just say that right, like safe haven, havening. So,
Correct.
Can you give us a little? Can you teach us that trick so that when someone's having a challenging situation, they can use this to calm themselves? Does it have to do anything with the vagus nerve?
Very much so. I'm glad you brought that up. It has to do the brain, the heart, the belly. They're all connected with the vagus nerve, and you're stimulating and at the same time releasing. Now, the thing that I like to do, and well, I'll just go ahead and explain it, is I use havening every day in my life. There was a time right after my brother suicided that the conversation came up about it, and I was in a restaurant with my husband and another couple. I excused myself, went into the restroom, havened, came back. Nobody knew what had gone on, which is I had flashes of how I had visualized him leaving. However, I have found that in the shower is the best place to haven, because the shower head is releasing positive ions and we are negatively charged. So we're already brought into balance. Now add the act of havening with affirmations, and it's a miracle. Now, affirmations are questions as opposed to affirmations. When you affirm something, you're saying, I am healthy, wealthy, and wise. And then you realize that you've got a prescription from the doctor because you're sick. Your bank account says 98 cents and you're feeling like a fool. Whereas with affirmations, you're asking questions because inquiring minds want to know. So instead of saying, I am healthy, wealthy, and wise, I might say something like, why do I feel so good today? What if today is the best day yet? Now, when I wake up in the morning and I take a morning shower, I'm showering and I'm asking myself those questions in the shower while havening. And it's like the difference between good Lord, it's morning and good morning, Lord. I mean, I just feel so much better. And I form according to what my day is going to be like. So if I know I'm going to have a challenging client, what if I hear exactly what that client needs to be heard? Why is it so easy for me to help that particular client? I just ask questions related to.
Okay. So, so explain that so someone can actually use that. You ask questions,
right?
About
For
what
instance,
it is you want.
you're right. Let's say you're someone who is money challenged. Why am I such a money magnet? Why do I attract only the best to me today? What if I found extra money in my account? Now, I'm not going to answer those questions. I'm going to let my subconscious mind act like the radio that it is and go out and find the signals or find the evidence of what it is that I'm asking about. When you put a search into Google, if you recall when it first came out, you actually had to put in question marks and punctuation marks because they were modeling it after the human brain. Well, that's the same thing that happens when we ask questions. Now, instead of a Google page bringing up a million answers, our subconscious mind is out there bringing in those answers. So I'm going to ask questions related to how I want to feel. If I'm worried about my health, why do I feel so healthy now? What if this is all healable? What if my immune system strengthens?
I see. So you take it, instead of just saying the affirmation, you change that affirmation into a question,
right?
So that you're giving your your subconscious mind, the question to work on, because they're just little computer or brain or subconscious is a computer that tries to make us right.
Exactly. It's trying to validate whatever it is that we're asking for. So you want to keep that in mind and be quite careful of the questions you ask, because often I just worked with a client this morning who was asking why she couldn't get rid of the extra weight. Well, her subconscious mind was giving her all the reasons in the world. Whereas when we started working on why do I find food choices so easy now? And again, in the shower, I like to do this method. It's just reassuring, it's loving, and I'm preoccupying my mind. That's called informational havening, because I'm preoccupying my mind from negative worries and thoughts about whatever to what if it works out? When there's a disaster going on, if what I would describe as a disaster, not a true, but let's say I had a flat tire, okay? I was supposed to give a class. I was on my way somewhere. Key went through the tire and it went flat. I was able to get home, but I started going off in wild directions about how this was going to cost me so much. Well, I was able to do affirmation or affirmations of what if it works out okay? What if my tires are easy to replace? Help me calm down. I taught my class. Next day when I took the car to the dealership, I had insured my tires, so it didn't cost me a dime. Imagine if I'd wasted that whole day.
Yes. Yeah, and if you did, you probably wouldn't have found out about that you had insurance on the tires.
Exactly. I'd gone to, instead of the dealership, I probably would have gone to a local tire place.
Right. Wow, that's awesome. Can you show us more specifically how the havening works?
Yes. Okay, there's two methods. This is the original that the doctors created, and it's really a lovely method. You put your fingers together on your forehead, go down the sides of your face, up under your eyes, and down to your chin. And you're going to repeat that. Then you're going to go up onto your shoulders, and not out here, but up onto the shoulders, gently down to the elbows, and all the way back up. And again, that's repeated. Then you move to wiping the hands. For those who don't want to touch their face, some of my clients prefer that because it's something they almost naturally, intuitively do anyway. But if you don't, then there's simply the crisscrossing of the arms, down to the hands, twist the hands, and right back up to the arms. And all the while that you're doing that, you're going to want to preoccupy. An example of a time I use that, my husband is an excellent driver. I'm not so excellent a passenger. So when we're on crowded highways, rather than become that backseat driver, I will haven and sing along to the radio. And next thing you know, it's like Moses parted the waters in my mind because the traffic was out.
Oh, that's awesome. What a great technique. That's new for me, the havening. So that's a wonderful technique that I appreciate you sharing with our audience.
Oh, I'm thrilled to. I love it.
So I understand you have a special offer for our audience.
Yes, I do. I would like to offer $25 off of any session, whether that's an in-person session or a Zoom session. And the reason I did it that way is because in person, it's a little bit more expensive to come see me. With Zoom, because of COVID, I made it a little more attractive for people. But either way, automatic $25 off as long as they mention Good Vibes TV.
Wonderful. And what's the best way to reach you?
Email contact@wisdomhypnosis.com or by phone 727-215-0283. You can actually go on my website and there's a book now button if you just want to book. But most people really want to talk to me first and ask how their situation will be addressed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow, thank you. So, Debbie, what do you have any special message that you would give our viewers, especially someone who's having a hard time, who's, frustrated over things related to the pandemic or just having a hard day? Any message or words of advice?
Listen to your body. Your body is the indicator of what's going on in your life. Respect your body. But most importantly, find a reason to smile and laugh. And I mean that genuinely. Every day when my sons were young, I would tell them to find a reason to smile and laugh as they went off to school. That night at dinner, we would discuss the different reasons and find ourselves uproariously laughing. And laughter is medicine. I get a lot of people who will laugh themselves into trance even.
Yes. Yes, laughter is definitely medicine. And that's one of the beautiful things I love about you, Debbie, is that you've always made me laugh. You're just a wonderful person. And anyone who knows you loves you because you are love. You're just like a shining ball of love. And it's so true.
Well, I appreciate that. And see, even that made me laugh in a good way.
Yes. Well, laughter is a way that we do raise our vibration, and it is so important to do that. So thank you, Debbie, so much for joining us today, for sharing your advice, and for being available to people and helping so many people that I'm sure hundreds of people that maybe even thousands of people you've helped. Well, probably thousands, because as people learn through all the different shows and all the things that you do, you've been impacting a lot of people and making this world a better place. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. It was fun.
Thank you, viewers, for watching Good Vibes TV. Connect with us at our website, good-vibes.tv, and follow us on Facebook. I'll be giving away some free merchandise like mugs that remind you to raise your vibe so you can thrive. So connect with us there so I can give you a chance to win. If you'd like to be a guest or a sponsor of the show, reach out to us at our website. And remember to raise your vibe so you can thrive. Peace out, everyone.